This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania, which is currently offering customers a door and window super deal. You can now save $500 on every window and $1,000 on every door from May 1st through May 31st. Super indeed. Visit renewalbyandersen.com to learn more about this deal before it ends. A woman has sued a school over her child's pronouns. Meanwhile, another district's at-large election of school board members received the attention of the DOJ. A beloved penguin has passed away. And is physical media making a comeback? I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in PA. A woman has filed a federal lawsuit against Dover Area School District as well as its board of directors, superintendent, and a teacher, reports the York Daily Record. According to the lawsuit, the woman's child is a survivor of childhood trauma and has previously been diagnosed with PTSD, ADD, and general anxiety disorder. While experiencing extreme stress and anxiety, the child told a private counselor while attending Dover Area Middle School how she thought she might be trans. The school then began to affirm the child as male, using male pronouns and referring to the student by a different name. And one teacher began to meet regularly with the child, quote, affirming the student's request to be treated as a different sex and called by an alternate name, facilitating the student's gender transition, unquote, all without the mother's consent or knowledge. In fact, she didn't know until the staff member asked another one of her kids, quote, how is your brother doing, unquote, and when he said he didn't have a brother, the teacher informed him that his sister had asked the school to be identified as a boy. According to the suit, not only did the school impede upon the woman's, quote, fundamental right to familial privacy, unquote, but put her child's mental health at risk, as, quote, affirming a discordant gender identity is antithetical to her health and well-being. The mom, whose identity is being withheld to protect that of her child, is looking for nominal and compensatory damages. At a different district, Hazleton Area School, there's a bit of a kerfuffle surrounding the district's at-large method of electing 9 school board members, reports the Times leader. And now the US DOJ is involved. Basically, at-large electing is when all voters cast their ballots for all candidates in a jurisdiction. A recent filing of private plaintiffs against the school, under the case name of Aquino and Lopez versus the Hazleton Area School District, is claiming that such voting dilutes the ability of Hispanic voters to elect the candidates of their choice, thus violating Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which prohibits discriminatory voting practices. Thus, the DOJ has filed a, quote, statement of interest, unquote, in the federal lawsuit, which supports the right of the private plaintiffs. Further information regarding this case remains pending. Stanley the African penguin was the first that the National Aviary in Pittsburgh ever had, states PennLive. And after 23 years, the aviary had to at last say goodbye. Stanley had been suffering for 18 months with age-related spine and joint issues, forcing veterinary staff to make the decision to put him down. His lifelong mate Dottie reportedly stayed by his side throughout the whole ordeal. Vinyl records outsold CDs last year, accounting for 43 million records sold, says the Tribune Review. Physical music formats in general, and we're talking vinyl CDs and cassettes, generated nearly $2 billion in revenue in the US as well, an 11% jump from 2022. And even though streaming still dominates, more than 7 out of every 10 physical releases bought last year in the US was on vinyl. So this begs the question, is physical media making a comeback? That seems to be the case in some areas. One employee at a record shop in Pittsburgh, for one, notes how people flock to buy physical forms of the medium herself, especially when it's an artist they're looking to support in a more substantial way. Another supposedly has to put new things on shelves constantly. So what do you think? Would you go back to, say, CDs over streaming on Spotify? Let me know. Today in PA at PennLive.com. That wraps up today's episode. For even more news, visit PennLive.com, and please remember to rate this podcast and leave it an honest review too, just to let me know what you think. Thanks in advance, and of course, thanks for listening. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll be back with another round of Today in PA. This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania, which is currently offering customers a door and window super deal. You can now save $500 on every window and $1,000 on every door from May 1st through May 31st. Super indeed. Visit renewalbyandersen.com to learn more about this deal before it ends.